are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Collaboration Station. And today, I wasn't quite sure what we were going to name it, but because I just have a list of questions, so I just put up one of the questions as the name. So, hello, my friends.
Hello, hello.
How are you guys today?
Doing good.
Good. I
We're
love this
like,
job.
what's
I
that?
love this job. I love this job. I can just do these remote things like wherever I go.
Outside, hanging out.
My
Nice.
background, that is not a green screen.
It's a real screen.
It's the
Right?
real deal. Yeah.
Nice. We can see the soccer
It's
goal
beautiful
now.
today.
Fun.
Yeah, it's beautiful today.
Good. So, Cindy, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Cindy Bennett, and I do have a YouTube channel by my name, Cindy Bennett, and I also have the iPad group on Facebook for VIP Kid Teachers. And I've now been doing out school with knitting, and I have a pet class and a bread making class,
Oh,
if
fun.
anybody's interested in that. And I'm also doing Your Teachable Moment, and I'm also doing the same bread making class and a knitting class for adults as well. So
Great.
that's yourteachablemoment.com. So lots going on. Plus, I'm a mom of 13 and I homeschool. Two left. Two left in my house to homeschool.
Wow. I like that you put the finger knitting looked like it went well today.
Yes, and that I didn't really say it, but it was a boy, and this is his third week. And he
Oh,
hasn't gotten sick of it. I'm really surprised.
and he asked you what's next.
So
Now you got to come up with
cute.
something else.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna
Fun.
make like we've been making just chains. So now I'm gonna do like more like a square because you can, as you get better at it, there's a lot more you can do. But most kids don't have that much attention span.
All right.
So we're gonna make a
So
square
cute.
next week. So
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
love it. All
yeah.
right. Hey, Rebecca.
Hi.
Glad you could make it today.
Thanks. I got
So,
my young daughter with me and she's wiggling the light up front. I'm like, no, it's knocking over my lamp.
you're a busy mama.
Yeah.
Speaking of busy mamas, Melissa,
Yeah.
thanks for coming. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Melissa. Been a teacher for almost 3.5 years with VIP Kid, and I do that, and then I also am the admin for VIP Kid Friends Facebook page and an online coach for those people going through the application process with VIP Kid, and I homeschool too, 3 kids.
Nice.
So we're in sort of the thick of that today as well.
Good. And Amanda, your kids are at virtual school, right? So they're
My kids are at virtual school. They do schooling on the computer. So I have a sixth grader who sits on the computer in the morning from 8 until 2 o'clock. He's amazing.
wow.
Thank you to like all the wonderful hard work. He has straight A's and it's
Oh,
his first time in middle school. Don't tell anybody I told you, but his first 2 weeks of school, he had his first 4 F's in his whole career teaching.
oh,
Like when you're distance learning, it's really hard to like get
Mhm.
assignments turned in digitally and
yeah,
get them to
Mm-hmm.
count. Like you got one chance to get all the steps right. So
yeah.
we've learned that and now we're at A's. So we're very happy.
Oh,
I have a first grader who's little too. He is just on Zoom for a much shorter time and then we're doing activities and distance learning with him. So learning reading and things. So we're kind of homeschooling distance learning with the first grader, but the
mhm,
sixth grader, he takes classes online all day, like a whole regular block schedule, like
nice.
attending real school. So it's an interesting time. I'm Amanda from amandapandateacher.com. I have an Etsy shop where I sell resources all across America. I have a website with great resources. I send a freebie every single week to teachers. So if you're looking for something printable to use in your classroom, every week you get an email with a freebie. So it's always good times over, very busy.
Yeah. I don't think I got the free. Does it usually come out on Mondays?
Usually comes out Wednesday or Thursday. So no, it
Okay.
doesn't come out on Mondays.
I know you usually share it on Mondays or sometimes. So what was the latest one?
The latest
Oh, the
one,
moon cakes.
Mooncakes was the week before last. That's this one. Last week's, I haven't printed it for myself, was Chinese cultural items. So it was pagoda and architecture and gosh, my brain is dead. That whole unit that we teach that's very difficult about Chinese culture.
Oh yeah. The
Yeah,
summer palace,
the summer palace, all of the
the
pagoda,
bird's nest,
the watchtower. It's all of the resources for teaching that. So this week will be something light and fun. Think of something very girly: mermaid unicorns. Oh no, mermaid princesses. Whoops.
Mermaid princesses. Fun.
Mermaid princesses this week. So awesome.
Great. And Rebecca has a YouTube channel. Are you at a place to say hi? There you go. Oh, you unmuted, but we can't hear you. I think
my baby pressed the other mute button. Does that work better now? Okay, yeah, I was double muted because baby wants to be held. So she's like, buttons! Oh, great. Yeah, thanks. But I never know if it's on or off. Yeah, Rebecca F, online teaching, VIPKid Outschool, mostly on my channel.
And her new hoodie video is up on her channel.
Yeah, wearing VIPKid hoodie today.
Yay. All right, and if you're here, you probably already know me. I'm Kasie Oswald, and today my friends and I are going to discuss some questions that I found on VIPKid. So are you guys ready? Yeah. All right, so the first one is, how can I support a learner who is quiet or hesitant to respond? If you have a quiet baby, how can you support them? Amanda?
I've got a quiet baby. So I have a quiet, actually, I have had multiple very shy and quiet students. My student, her name is Michelle. It's a struggle to get her to feel comfortable to reply or to respond or to say things independently. It took her 60 classes to feel confident to kind of repeat a sentence that would be a little different than my sentence with a lot of structure support. So what I do is I don't give her the expectation that she's able to create her own sentence structure. I support by giving the sentence structure and asking her to modify some of the words. Let me give you an example. So like if I want her to say, this is the summer palace, I'm going to give her that sentence before, this is the summer palace, before we do the slide on that. And then if I want to point to another item and have her say that, I will just prompt like, and she's already got the sentence. It took her 60 classes to even feel comfortable to say another item like, this is a pagoda. So it takes a long time for them to feel confident to build the output. It is okay if it doesn't happen in 1 or 2 classes. I am still feeding sentences and still feeding structure after many, many lessons. Okay, let me tell you what's going on now. Now I hold up a whiteboard, and actually I'm going to make a YouTube video about this. I haven't made it yet and filmed it. I hold up a whiteboard and I say, Michelle, today you're going to tell me 4 sentences about school. And then I don't give her anything, but we have practiced talking about her school multiple times. She'll say a sentence, I give her a check mark. Yay! Give me another one. A sentence, yay! And then a sentence, and I do it 4 times. So it took me 150 classes for her to be confident to tell me that many sentences. And it's a great strategy that took time to build. That's how I do it with my very shy kids. Don't expect, if there's silence, really structure and give them the sentence structure to help them so they feel confident repeating.
Good. Somebody else want to take that one? What are your strategies for quiet kiddos?
Yeah, it depends on how old they are too. Like if they're really, really little and they don't want to say anything, I feel like sometimes they don't realize it's a talking program, not just a TV show. So, you know what I mean? Like they're probably used to watching a lot of shows. I found with the little kids where I have the interactive slides, I could be sitting there trying to get them to talk, but then when I press the button and the button says mom, the student says mom real easily, but they don't always repeat after me. So I think sometimes it takes a while for them to understand, that they're supposed to repeat after you. And sometimes recently, within the last week, I had one student where the mom was very, like, stood right there and like going like this to the kid, come on, almost like in a negative way. And so whenever the student would make any noise at all, I would just really, really praise the student and smile a lot. And then when I wrote in feedback, I tried not to say anything bad about the parent, but I just tried to say, I appreciate the parent support. And then I would just say that it's important that the student is always happy during class, something like that. That wouldn't sound like I'm criticizing the parent, but I'm sort of encouraging the good, because this one student, like every time she wasn't given an answer, the mom would kind of touch her and the kid took it negatively.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's an issue too, where the kid is quiet. And so you're kind of juggling a lot of different things. You can't always assume that it's just that the kid's quiet. Maybe they're in a bad mood. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're, so you kind of have to really try a few different things. But always the ear, like always sticking your ear up to the camera like that, trying to make sure the student knows that you're listening for something.
Right.
So those are my thoughts.
Pretend ears and the little fake ones. I have those.
Right.
I haven't used that in a while. That's funny. Yeah, I agree with all of that too. Just trying to get them to repeat, and sometimes they're just at that silent period and need a little bit more time. I try not to overwhelm them because I get so excited and I have such a big personality. Sometimes I have to check myself often. So, anybody else before we go on the next one?
Well, I teach a lot of younger student, like level 1 students, and like early level 2 students. And so to like kind of piggybacking on what Cindy said with the parents, if they aren't really wanting to verbally repeat me, if they're not giving me those responses, but they'll move to things on the screen, right? Or maybe they won't repeat a sentence in level 2, but they'll repeat one word. I just praise the effort that they are giving me. If I get any little kind of interaction from them, it's a big deal. They get a lot of praise, they get a star. And then in the feedback, I tell the parents, like, it's okay that they weren't talking every time. Like they're, I don't really call it the silent period, but I just say, they learn from listening to a native English speaker. They hear me say those sentences. They can always watch the replay. Like they're getting something out of being in the class, even if they aren't, fully repeating everything that I'm saying. Just let the parents know, that's okay. Getting that material anyway is better for the student.
I think using a puppet or something to show them that I want them to repeat often helps. So if they're being quiet if I feel like they're being quiet because they don't know that I'm expecting them to repeat, I'll use, Meg or Mike or Dino and show them, oh, they're repeating, So
one tip that I heard, it was off of someone's YouTube video many moons ago, so I can't remember. But I wish I could, so I give them credit. But they said, have the puppet ask the question. So the puppet asks you the question and you answer, and then the puppet asks the student the question. And so it's not really confusing them. They kind of hear the puppet say the same thing in both examples there. And so I started doing that, like I said, years ago, like it was somebody's YouTube video. And I started doing that and I'm like, oh my gosh, this does work so much better. So I always try to give that little hint out. I should probably go figure out who it was, but it was an excellent tip.
That makes
get a lot more response that way.
Hey guys, I just remembered there's a chat. I haven't even opened up my chat. Hey Amanda Panda. Hey Evelyn. Evelyn, we hope you're feeling better. And Rebecca's here. Melissa. Thanks for coming, guys.
I wanted to add.
Go ahead, Cindy. You want to go?
I was just going to say, sometimes I have one student that was really, really quiet and I was really getting her to talk a lot and read. She's doing really well. But then they had a holiday, and then when I had her the last time, she was playing with toys and she loves to draw. So sometimes you have to deal with that too, that they're not in the mood kind of thing. And so you have to, like, this girl loves to draw. So if you know something they really like, you can use that. Like, okay, let's draw on the screen. So you can get her eyes toward the screen. So you try to use something that they have that's familiar. Or if they're playing with a toy, you say, oh, what do you have? What color is it? You know, so you try to go into their world kind of thing.
Yeah.
instead of getting irritated that, oh, I'm the teacher, you should be listening to me, you know, to try to, you know, pull them to you by something they're interested in. And sometimes that helps too.
Good.
I was going to add, just remember the students' cultural school experience. So
Right.
our kids attend school in a classroom with many, like more than 30 kids. They all sit in desks all day long, and they're expected to be called upon and raise their hand to speak. Our kids in America, their school experience is so different in traditional school, where kids are out of their seat, they're going here, they're going there, out and in. Kids come to their classroom, they sit down, they are very quiet, they are not moving around, they do not blurt out. So the whole experience to be with a teacher that speaks a language you don't know, one-on-one, must just trip them out.
Yeah,
And
really.
so how intimidating and scary to talk to someone in the language that you're learning, a professional English teacher one-on-one. They don't get the experience of really discussing or talking with their Chinese teachers. The Chinese teacher comes in, they teach a lesson, they call on a few hands, they leave. Like, it is such a different experience culturally. And so we just have to know it will take many classes, 60 classes 60 classes it took for her to feel confident and comfortable. We're on 150 classes now. It has taken so long to build to where we are, where she trusts and feels comfortable. She won't even say Chinese words hardly to me. If I ask her the name of her school or her friends' names, she doesn't want to say anything but English to me, because she has this very clear expectations about English teachers. This is only for English. I have to tell her, it's okay. Tell me the name of your school in Mandarin. It's okay. And so kids just really are going to be different. Their culture experience is so different. And we have to recognize that and just kind of pull it out. It's like opening and cracking a nut. You're going to get a tiny bit, tiny bit, tiny bit until you get more. And then now I can do 4 sentences, which is wonderful.
So cute. Yeah, it is very different. When I was in Japan, teachers would go into the classroom, and then you'd have to leave the classroom and go back to the faculty room. Between every period, you were expected to go drink tea in the faculty room. So, did you all see the interview with I can't remember who the teacher is. He works with Eric Tong. I want to say Mark, but he had one of the students sitting there, and she said, "We have to sit like this at our desks." And she was very surprised. She said, "I heard American children can sit like this and like this." And she was like shocked that, they don't have to sit like this, she said. So
even the little ones. So they start very young in school, kindergarten, first grade, preschool. They're all very, very trained to be in their desk and very still and very silent.
So, wow, interesting stuff.
Yeah. I can remember I asked my student for one of those classes, do you talk to your teacher? And she's like, no, that's kind of sad though. It's kind of sad that, they don't really have, I mean, it doesn't sound like they have much of a relationship with the teacher actually. Because I think some of them, from what I've heard, they have 50 kids in a class. Wow. My students have said 50.
50?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Wow. How can I help my student feel more comfortable speaking independently? I think we kind of touched on that one. You guys think? Yeah.
Challenge them to speak a sentence. And then once they're more comfortable, challenge them to speak a sentence. Then once they're more comfortable and developed and you've practiced it many times, let them go and challenge them. 4 sentences. Next time I'm going to ask her to do 5. And every week we're going to add a little check mark until she is just telling me all about something she can speak and increase her output.
Great. And what level is she?
She's a level 4.
4. Good. Let's see. Number 3 is, how can I make the material relatable for my student? we're taught that a lot as teachers in the classroom. Make it like something they want to learn because it's real for them, you know? So how can you make some of this relatable? I think, you know, we've got a lot of fun activities that aren't so relatable, some pretend characters.
Well, I think it's different for like the different ages, right? So level 4, level 5, we're talking about pets, we're talking about animals. I could be like, oh, do you have a pet? You know, and we can talk about it. And a lot of times if they do, they're going to show me their pet. So it's kind of, it's like rapport building, but it's also, this is related to your life because you have a dog or you have a cat. Right? But with the lower levels, like the level 1 and level 2, like you're not really going to have those extension conversations. Yeah. You're going to stick to what's on the slides and, you know, kind of be lucky if you finish them. That's why level 1 in the feedback, it's like, did you finish all the slides? Right. And, you know, because that's kind of the focus there. So I think, laughter is kind of the universal language, right? With level 1 and level 2, if you're funny, right, you're putting the silly hat on, or your puppet's being silly, or, you know, you do something, you know, funny for the student, like, do I drink a hot dog, you know, and you just make that TPR with your prop, then, you know, that laughter, I think, is kind of relatable.
Right. Yeah. And I think I always stick to the slides, but I also will be like, you know, if you're talking about food, you say, what is your favorite food? And if they don't say anything, then you can pull out, you know, a hot dog, or pull out your noodles or apples. Like today I did fruit. So I had a whole bunch of fruit. And some kids, you'd be surprised how many different types of fruit they know the names of. Some of them they don't, but maybe they know their colors. So then you talk about colors. What color is it? So you can always find something that, and I like to always try to reach for that because I want to see what they know beyond the slides. And I feel like that's what the parents want to see too, is that they can kind of go beyond what is on the actual slides so that they can carry on a conversation type of thing. So I always take whatever we're talking about, and I also, I will try and have a reward as well, like apples, bananas, or whatever. So those are my ideas.
Yeah, I think rewards are really big to that. Even with my trials, my rewards are color rewards. And so they're learning their colors even from the very beginning. And I'm also testing their knowledge, like what do they know beyond the trial slides. And if they know the colors, great, that's a bonus. If not, we're teaching them the colors. And if they can do that, they can have them choose the colors. If they can do that, I can say, you know, can I have the red, please? Or red banana, please. Keep it simple sentences, but we can just keep scaffolding. And I think that's good. Start really simple and then scaffold until like, okay, we hit a little bump here. Let's go back and do this one. We'll work on this next time.
And then put that in the feedback. I noticed Bao knew his colors. Right. Next time we'll work on putting those colors in full sentences or something. Yeah. I think if choices, I tend to do that a lot, you know, so like in the food unit, if we're talking about ice cream, or, well, ice cream is throughout the curriculum really, but if you see that, you know, I might ask, do you like vanilla or strawberry? So I'm giving them a choice. So even if they're not really comfortable speaking in those full sentences, having full conversation, they can pick one, right? They can repeat vanilla or strawberry, and, you know, I've gained rapport, I've extended a little bit. So I do give choices sometimes with those two.
Yeah, that's good.
I was going to say, there are some units that kids are going to love, and some units kids are going to hate. And you're just going to jive with some units that you teach, and some are just going to flop, and there's nothing that you can do about them. That's right. From my experience, level 3, unit 1, about the days of the week, can often be a big flop, because how many times can you say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday? So what I do to make it relatable is very early in the unit, the very first lesson when we start teaching Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I ask them, what do you do on Sunday? What do you do on Monday? Which is an activity that comes up a few lessons later, but I bring it in throughout. So then that funny slide we have at the very start that has the animals with the first, second, it's the zodiac animals, first,
Yes,
second,
yes.
third, fourth, fifth. I ask them what zodiac they are. What animal are you? Teacher is a dragon. What are you? And so they can equate. They're very familiar with that. So there's lots of opportunities. Once you've taught a lesson a couple times, been through level 3 unit 1 like 20 times, like you can really get down what are the things that are great applications to them. Our kids know a lot about food. They know a lot about colors because remember they're taking English classes at their schools too.
Right.
They call French fries chips. So I call them chips now. And I teach them later in upper levels that chips and French fries are the same thing. But like as you're more experienced, you've taught a few classes, you'll kind of realize what places you can do personal application, what matches their life so that you can really draw them into the lessons. But really, some will not be so good. And some units will be just amazing.
Good.
I remember one time we did the bike unit. We talked about bikes and scooters and stuff like that. And I was like, but one time the kid ran off the screen. I'm like, where'd you go? Where are you going? He came back with his bike. I'm like, cool. Okay. What color is your bike? And I started asking questions and he just had fun just showing it off and talking about it. Awesome. You never know.
Aw, they're so cute. All of these different levels and I don't even know, like level 3 seems so different now since we've started these collaboration stations. It's been a while. You know, it used to be like the dreaded one of everybody. Remember like back in the day, but I think they've changed quite a few. But the calendar one is the one I'm in now. And I will say that I have to sing a lot because I get so bored with Sunday, Monday. So the Adams Family is a fun one. So put the days of the week in the Adams Family. And they seem to like that one too. So
They like it. It is fun to sing it. So to have an alternative to sing is always very powerful.
Yeah.
And you're gonna always get kids that smile. They actually take music class. Like in public school here in America, music is taken out of the classroom. In China, they actually attend music class with a music teacher who is often playing the piano and they are singing. Like, and they have done this since very little. So even if they don't like to sing, ask a Chinese kid if they like to sing. They all love to sing because that's what they learn in their music classes at their school. So if we can bring in singing into the classroom, it helps release another part of their brain to remember it. It releases that feeling of apprehension. Who in the heck wrote the word Thursday and made it that sound? That's so hard. So like it's much easier to sing it and to apply it. It's extra practice. It's increasing their output so that when they have the slide and it's just Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, well, hello, we're going to sing Sunday, Monday. And then I hold the little microphone Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then they sing. And then Friday, Saturday, and then at the end we either do dum dum dum. Sometimes we do ya ya ya, and then I actually have them make up their own little ending to the song, which is crazy, and they think it's hilarious. So like if you can do that, where you really bring in, it makes them have fun.
Good. That sounds cute. Let's see. So how do I adapt the material for an older learner who is in a lower level? This is a great one for me because I have a 13 or 14-year-old in Starlight level 0. He just went to level 1, but those are,
Wow.
yeah.
A 14-year-old?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, that would be me in Chinese. You put me in the babies, I don't know anything.
Right.
But yeah, how do you do that? Because they make the slides for the younger audience. Now, I don't know much about Starlight, but I did have an 8-year-old today in level 2, unit 1. Because it's made more for like 5, 6-year-olds. So he's 8. I'm like, well, we're just gonna go through it and see where you're at. I mean, it's my first lesson with him. Just kind of gauge, but humor. Just make it funny. And if you're gonna make fun of anybody, make fun of yourself. Make fun of the teacher, and just make a goofball out of yourself. And then they start laughing and they start getting more comfortable and getting more loose. And then they're like, oh, if teacher can make a mistake, then so can I.
Yeah, I do have an 11-year-old that's in level 2. He is I've had him for a long time, and he is just now finishing he's just starting level 2, unit 12. So the question is, how do you adapt the material for older learner who is in a lower level? The only thing I can think of is they seem to go through it faster. So you can kind of build on what they know. You know what I mean? What do you guys think?
I would say take out the baby stuff. So like the really funny, cutesy sounds and like images and graphics. I would use my whiteboard a whole lot. So if it's an older student and we're learning a sentence structure, I would be writing it out a lot more. I would write multiple examples. I would find relatable things. So like older kids like cars. So I would change if it's like a pencil. Well, hello, pencil. Ugh, but maybe they like race cars. So like I would change the sentence structure and added other vocabulary that are relatable. Oh my gosh, our kids love basketball. So like if it was the unit about what do we play? Do we play with a robot? No, we play basketball because basketball is cool. So I don't know. I would just take out the baby-ish stuff and make it more of older kid kind of stuff. If I had rewards that were Harry Potter or Minecraft or other activities, I would pull in that content the kid liked and put that in place of the sentence structure. So I'm still teaching the content, but just substituting the baby-ish kind of stuff, like the color unit. Oh my goodness. If they know the colors, then I'm going to say red car, blue car, green car, and other things to make that not so. And then I'm not going to be as, yay, woohoo, and you can as crazy with older kids, knowing that the curriculum is for to appeal to an older child.
He tells me no, he doesn't want rewards anymore. The stars, he'll say thank you, but he says no. But now he's older, so it's weird. He's like, "You beautiful teacher." Like, thanks.
That's nice.
Like, your eyes are blue. Yeah. Back to this. Let's
go. I use with that, like I have 2 that I feel like are in really lower units than their age, a 12-year-old and the last half of level 2. And so what I do is I flip it. You can choose that camera option to make your camera bigger and the slide smaller. And so that way, maybe they're not looking at Megan, Mike, and Dino or whatever. They're looking at me and we're having conversation, and I can type in Minicam. I use Google Slides a lot. Like Amanda mentioned, for a reward, so get to know them in that warm up and, they play basketball, they play piano, whatever they like, use a reward. And then maybe use those Google Slide images, just so you're teaching them the content, but not as babyish.
Right.
But that way they're looking at you and not that slide most of the time.
Yeah. Because on the other hand, he doesn't know how to count to 12 even, so I pulled out, one of the Find a Stars that had 12 and he's like, no, because I know he doesn't. I'm like, no, counting. We're counting. And he got it after I just started counting. But so it's not like you can push him forward. Do you know what I mean? He needs some of these beginning skills, but yeah, you're right. Make it so it's not so babyish.
Yeah, just modify. Added the upper big kid stuff.
Yeah.
And teach those words. So like he might not know basketball. I think most kids know basketball, but if he didn't, I would teach basketball and then I would bring that in for every single sentence frame or structure. So really substituting.
How do I promote meaningful interaction in my online classes? I think this is for any online. Rapport building sticks out to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, make it about them. Yeah, make it. I mean, so often I go like, look what I can do. Look what I have in my classroom. Look. I need to focus on them and have them tell me, you know, what do you like to play? Do you like to play basketball? Do you like to play ping pong? You don't like to play either one? Okay. What sport do you like to play? And just bring it right back at them, which is hard when they don't know like any English. But you find a way to kind of give them choices and see what they can do.
Yeah, like that hobby unit is a great place to build rapport, but if they're struggling in that unit, they need a lot of help. You know, so yeah, I find like Rebecca said, if I talk about myself, like my hobbies are swimming and reading, I then want to, I'm going to turn it on them. Okay, so those are my hobbies. What are your hobbies? So I have like hobby cards I'll hold up if they don't like the hobbies that we're talking about, and give them a choice again. But if I'm going to say anything about me, I then want to get the equivalent answer about them. Let them talk about themselves.
Good. Yeah, what kid doesn't like to talk about themselves?
Yeah.
I use so my class is special because every class, like the first 5 minutes, and this is crazy to say out loud, I have a conversation with my students. So when they come to class, I don't always get to the slides, and I'm really guilty about this in the upper levels. It is just nasty because like there's so many slides, but I got to spend 5 minutes talking with you. And I do that with this tool. It's from my Etsy shop. I hold up and teach them what is your name, and then here's the sentence frame, my name is, and then here are like conversations about hobbies. Yeah, Kasie has it.
Yeah.
Do you play with dolls? Yes, I play with dolls. No, I do not play with dolls. I teach the past tense in conversation at the start of class as young as level 2, very small. So I am enforcing had, I am enforcing went, and I really have good success with my kids. Are you sad? Are you happy? How are you? I am good. I am fine. So that those first 5 minutes of class, and sorry, don't tell anybody I said this. I really don't do the content in the VIP Kid slides. That's my how I am. Like that's my classroom structure. What I do, it works for me, and then I breeze through all the rest of the stuff in the end. I know what my students need, and so
Right.
I know that they know the high frequency words. So I can flip those slides and do them in a few minutes to squish in the time to capture 5 minutes at the start of class.
Right.
I take turns reading those giant passages. So they'll read a passage, I read a passage, and that's how I go through quickly to get the content done and capture 5 minutes for conversation. Now I don't even have to use these cards with some of my regulars. They already know the conversation I'm asking them, and just imagine that. Their parents can say, my child can have a conversation in English with a teacher for 5 minutes. Whoa, it's a big thing. And so I write that in my feedback. Today we had a conversation for 4 minutes about school. I really, really do that, and it just works for me. So
Yeah.
they're connected to me. I care about them. I know a lot about them, and I do that with conversation cards. Huge, big, big, big.
I think veterans can get away with that easier than new teachers. New teachers, I think you need to stick with the curriculum more while you can get used to it. Your parents get used to you, don't you think?
3 years later, 4,000 classes. So
Right.
this is not something I did in my first year teaching, but I of course I would do the basics. So like, what is your name? These are in here too. So what is your name? How are you? Did you go to school today? How old are you? So like those would be for every kid. And when I meet a new student, I don't spend 5 minutes having conversation with them because I don't know them. I don't know their skills. But because I see so many regulars, I know the places that we need to spend more time, what I
Right.
need to work on. And so I can capture that 5 minutes at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I type it in there, and so I'll work on, did you go to school today? And, if they say, yes, I go to school today. So I'm going to type in, I went to school today. And I'm going to ask that, the next couple of lessons, and maybe 4 lessons down the road, I'll ask, did you go to school today? And yes, teacher, I went to school today. All right, we've got went, and then one I focus on a lot is ate, right? What did you eat today? And I want them to say I ate. And I use that chat box. So, I do have conversation, but I think like they kind of pick up on teacher's going to ask the same question. So now like Sunny, she'll come to my classes and she'll just, hello, today I ate, and she'll just tell me what she ate. And then I'll start on a new question, just to kind of get them used to it, especially those very common phrases that they're going to have to say when you use those past tense words.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I actually use Amanda's tool, and I write it in the chat so they have it for next time. So I do a little bit of mix of both.
I write the past tense verb on the slide. So if we're saying had, I write had on the slide and then I use TPR in the past. Don't forget, let's use the word in the past. So I'm very supportive. Like I don't do a whole bunch of questions to start. We build it on for sure, but that tool really helps. And it's really powerful to have conversation with them. And so they feel very connected. They want to see me because I'm the teacher that cares and that asks them a ton of questions that they can feel confident in having conversation with me.
Good. I'm going to skip down a couple because we're already at 45. So how can I teach vocabulary that is especially difficult or is challenging to explain? I like to use Google Slides because I think having the motion on a lot of them. So I think Google Slides sometimes does a really good job of explaining some of the vocabulary for me, with me.
Like snake, slither. Slither of a video of a snake is so much better than teacher Amanda's TPR.
Right? Snake, slithers. It's the same, you know? So if you see the snake and it slithers. Yeah.
One of the I just taught this morning push and pull. And
Yeah.
so I used a tissue box and this was my push, push and pull. Well, the
Yeah.
Google slide had a big ball, like a giant ball, and it had a person behind pushing and a person up pulling it like up a hill. And my student went, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, there it is." I didn't have to explain it anymore. You got it.
Mm-hmm. Light bulb.
And I wanted to add, often there are words in the upper levels that are very confusing, like impressive or explanation. So remember, not only should we go over the vocabulary, the words in the red that we're teaching, oftentimes if you ask the kid, give an explanation on why such happened, they don't know the academic content language. So you have to actually, I have to ask my students, do you know what explanation means? Do you know what impressive means? Like other big words? Because VIPKid adds in other words that are not covered in the curriculum into the upper levels. And they may have not have seen that word or been exposed to. So it's like we're responsible for teaching not only other words in the red, it's many other types of words. In English language learning, there's actually a whole research study done that if you expose them to words they don't understand or at a higher level, it helps them understand them. So that's why VIPKid does it. So like it's in the curriculum. I used to be so mad. Why is the word impressive in there when they have no idea what impressive means? It's because we're exposing them to the content of ESL learning and more difficult language to build their skills towards it. But asking them if they understand is very important.
Right.
And simple explanations. So like say if it's impressive, think of what words we've taught in the curriculum and tell them impressive like in those simple words. Impressive means something that is very large and very important. So the way I explain it to them is very simple with words I know.
Yeah. So in level 5, you have the take 1 minute to talk about anything you'd like. Well, how many of your students are like, well, I like ice cream? And you're trying to explain to them, no, talk about anything that you would like to talk about. You know, have you tried explaining that to any of them? What?
I do classroom conversation cards.
Oh, you don't do that one.
I count my conversation with them as the 1 minute to talk about something they like. When I get to that slide, I hit flip. And then
I do that. I do the cards, but then I really want them to tell me something that they want. Like, what are they excited to tell me about? So I'm trying to figure out a way. I have only 2 students that understand the concept of what they're asking there. The rest are like, I like to play. I like to read. And I'm like, no.
it's hard because you put them on the spot.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know. Give me a hint. Give me a clue. Give me a prompt. Give me something. Because they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I often kind of skip that slide, show them a reward. And as we do the lesson, I'm engaging them with other conversations here and there that adds up to at least a minute of them telling me about their life.
Yeah.
So I count that. Because sometimes level 5, it's hard to get through it all, even if you just go through it.
Yeah.
So I don't always have time to spend like a minute on their life if they freeze.
Well, if anybody in the chat has an idea for me, because I really, really want them to tell me something that they want to tell me. I really want to figure that one out.
Maybe a prompt. Maybe give them 2 choices.
Yeah, that's what I was
talk about
say.
this or this. You know, what's your favorite sport or what's your favorite subject or something so that they have a choice, but not like tell me anything.
Yeah,
that's it's a big ask. It's a big ask.
Yeah, that's what I do. I give them a choice. You know, like, do you want to tell me about school or do you want to tell me about your homework today? They love to tell you how much homework they have. You know, do you want to tell me like what sport you play, or do you want to tell me about a musical instrument that you play? You know, and I'll hold up maybe a picture of a piano and a violin, and you know, so I give them the choice, and then I get more answers, because when they first changed it, you know, and you just read what's on that slide, like, hey, tell me anything you want to tell me, you know, they kind of look at you like, what? But giving them the choice, I see a lot more response on that slide.
And try that strategy of tell me 3 sentences and check them off as they tell you. So that gives them a structure of what you're looking for. So give them a topic choice and then tell me 3 sentences about that, so that you're really increasing their output. Because like about school, they can tell you 3 sentences about school. My school is big. My school is close to my house. I take my book bag to school. I mean, that's it. That's 3 sentences. So those are all sentences they're capable of. Just stretch them a little bit, because they want to tell you 1 and be done.
Right. Well, for example, I had this little girl, and she's not little, she's one of the older ones in level 5. And she was like, I get to that slide and she's like, yes. And I'm like, what? She wanted to tell me that she went to an escape room and did an escape room. So she was ready to do that slide. So I know once they get used to it, you know, they're ready to tell you. So yeah.
Then on the other hand, you know which kids are the talkers, and you do want to skip that slide, because if you let them talk for a minute, they'll talk for 10 minutes. And you're like, oh, we're going to have to cut you off now because I love this conversation. But so you have to know your student to go, okay, and that's it.
So question 13 is, how can I help a learner who seems to plateau in their learning? I don't know. I haven't really seen that much with VIPKid. I mean, there's always something to learn or something you can add to back. What do you guys think?
I think it's the repetition that they learn. Like they get used to it. You're going to teach them a word. You're going to teach them a sentence that uses that word. And then you're going to ask them a question and they got to use that same sentence. And so even if the content is different, you know, let's say they've taken VIPKid classes for 1.5 years. Like, okay, so here's this 13 or 14-year-old in an upper level, and we're doing the same thing. Like, say, what are we doing today? Same thing we did yesterday. You know, here's a word, here's a sentence, here's a question. So what I see when that happens is they're just bored. Like, that's when they stop looking at the screen. That's when they're doing their homework or playing a video game at the same time. So that's when engagement and kind of adapting that lesson really becomes important. Okay, they understand what I'm going to do, but now here's the word, and now let's expand it. Let's make it a longer sentence, or let's make it a sentence that relates to you. I did that with impression. Last week is one of the words that they learned in a level 5 lesson, you know, and the student learned the word and they started using it in the sentences, and I could tell like they're bored. And so then we just started talking about, you know, their impression of their teacher and their impression of mom. And so we got that conversation in there, but they kind of had to perk up, right? He had to look at the slide. He had to be engaged with me in order for that adaptation to work.
Good.
I was going to say, I always remember that learning English is a marathon and not a sprint. meaning that kids are going to have lessons over a long, long time. And there will be seasons of good times and seasons of bad times. And there will be some units that are great and some units that are not. And they will plateau, and it will take you 45 classes to make them say a v instead of wa all the time. I mean, it just takes time. So it I used to feel when I first started, when I taught a class and they didn't understand, that I failed. And that is not true. I did my best to teach what I could. They just didn't understand. And remember, they're going to repeat. It's like a cycle that goes over again. They're going to get the same content again. It's going to be practice all over again. Even though they didn't understand place value, they're going to hit it again much later. Like, it all comes back again. So that's what I always remember, is that teaching English is a marathon, not a sprint.
Love it.
And you don't have to do it all in that 25 minutes, right?
Yes.
The next class, they're going to use what they learned, in the previous lesson, throughout a unit. And then again, like Amanda said, repeat it in a later unit. So yeah, don't put that pressure on yourself, especially as a new teacher, thinking they have to get everything in 25 minutes that's on those slides, because it's going to repeat.
Good. Okay.
And
So I think
related
What's
is
that?
it's okay if your student goes to see another teacher and then comes back to you. Because it's like, I lost my baby. No. They'll come back to you with a fresh set of eyes. They might come back to you with a new tidbit that they learned or a new sentence structure. You're like, wow, great job. That's awesome. So it's okay to like let them go for a week or two and then bring them back. That's totally okay. I kind of like it when they kind of try another teacher and then come back to me.
I know. I had one. I told you she could be a little bit naughty. So every time she goes to a new teacher, there's like, this child, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of makes me giggle because she doesn't do that for me anymore. And it just happened recently, but she has a new appreciation for me because when the camera comes on, she goes, yay! And I'm like, yes.
There she is.
So they must not tell her who she has that day. But and now she hasn't been to anybody else for a few months again. Oh, let's see. I'm going to end on this one. How can I develop my skills as an English language teacher with limited time for professional development? So for
Workshops.
me, I was going to say workshops.
Workshops. Yeah, because those VIPKid is awesome, giving so many workshops. And I often take the same workshop a couple of times throughout a span of a year, or different teachers, and I'll glean different things every time I take a class. And since it's on Zoom, I can often like watch it and be with my family at the same time. Like I can be fully present or I can be half present, but I still glean information.
Yeah. So for me, I think workshops is where I was going at first also. But if you are a new ESL teacher looking for professional development, you've probably heard Nancy Taylor has a course. She has a big course beyond teaching ESL, but she also has a smaller course. I don't remember how much it is. It's less than $100. I want to say it was like $57 with my code or something. I haven't told many people about it, but it's an ESL course for teachers that don't have a lot of experience but want to teach ESL online. And it's for any kind of company, any ESL company. So you can go and take that course and it's online. So it's not like you have to be somewhere at that time. So that just popped into my head when Rebecca was talking. So I wanted to share that. I'll put that link below if it's not already there.
And I would go a step further and say go to meetups, because oftentimes there's great meetups where it's, share your favorite prop, or, even online, like they're all virtual now, but even online, you're going to be able to see and talk to other teachers. And I mean, just like we do this collaboration, like, and we're hoping we're giving some good ideas to teachers. You can get that from meetups too, just in that conversation at those meetups. I've made great friendships. Teacher community here is awesome, online and in person. But I've also gotten, tips and hints that I have used throughout as well. So utilize that.
Going to the meetups, sometimes they have trivia like Amanda had on her channel, and Melissa, you did one too, right?
Yeah.
Not on her channel, on her meetup. That's what I meant. You know what I meant. So
they're fun. I mean, then there's the meetups, and then there's the Facebook pages. You know, most of the time you can ask a question or ask for advice on a Facebook page and get hundreds of responses. You know, everyone kind of teaches different. Everyone has different strategies, and pick the one that's best for you. So I suggest that too.
Very good.
I was going to say, watch my channel, amandapandateacher.com. I got YouTube videos with tips. So as simple as the one I showed with the whiteboard to say 4 sentences, take that tool to your classroom. Like, watch what other people do. I watched thousands of YouTubers, hundreds of them, but to build my online teaching. I was a brick and mortar teacher before, and so I taught in a traditional classroom. Teaching online is totally different. I say sound effects and crazy stuff because I took a workshop from teacher Justin on trials. So like, you're going to be totally changed by doing things and going out there. Remember that quality classes are what bring rebookings. It is a very competitive time. If you're just a blah plain old teacher, you got to up your game, people, because like, it is really competitive. And so you got to get kids to engage with you, to like coming to your classes, because they have thousands of teacher choices, and there are more slots open than there ever have been before. So you've got to really rock it. So learn from the pros, like go watch YouTube videos, take workshops, all of those things that we say. It is extra time that you don't get paid for. But remember, the better teacher you are, the more bookings that you get. So like, if you're a quality teacher, you're teaching great classes, like really put in the work. It's a business that I have built 3 years later. It is not something that came and just jumped on my door and I've got all the bookings I want. I was terrible at first. I was awful. And every time I made a mistake, I went and found a YouTuber or someone to help me to answer my questions. I help tons of people. Like, you have to find the people that are helpers. Get on my email list so you can get a new free thing every week that helps you.
Yeah.
So it's all about just finding the people that are givers and learn from them. Take tips that Melissa says, take what Rebecca says, Kasie and I, and then take it and put it in your classroom.
I don't know if you want too many tips from me.
Well, I've got an oldie but a goodie YouTube video on synthetic phonics. Because it's good to come with a very neutral accent, get those nice pure sounds, pure vowels, pure consonants, and that's what the basis of level 2 is, getting those sounds. So if you want to watch that, that was a good one that I made, and I have some flashcards there too.
I have worked on synthetic phonics many times because that's one of my pet peeves. Is people teaching phonics that are saying "ra," "ma," "pa."
Yeah, and now some of it is the teachers, but a lot of it is the Chinese culture that they put that at the end. So we as teachers have to kind of correct that and cut them off, so you don't have the goulda, shoulda, like good, should, you know.
For the kids to say it.
Right.
I just want the teachers to go out and find resources so that they're not.
Yes, and you have different accents in the United States, so we want to keep with the very neutral accent, not like New York or Southern. I mean, it's great, but you can also get a very neutral.
I've had to learn to put my R's in because I'm from Boston. We don't put our R's in, so I've had to learn that to teach online. So to teach when I was in Japan, that's a whole nother story. But and if you are a brand new mini camera to make your class better, you're gonna have to go check out my friend Amanda Panda later on too. When all that's ready. Is it ready? It's not ready yet, is it?
It's ready. It's ready.
Oh, yay.
The technology of Manicam for online teachers. People, I work so hard on this. Let me show you how wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, this is free. You don't have to pay. Here is all the technical terms about computers in teacher easy language. Here are some devices that you should buy and not buy. Here's some Mac computers too for Mac people. So like, if you need help with techie, if you have someone who's asking you what computer you should buy, tell them it's not just a Manicam guide, it's a technology for teachers online guide. So hey,
yay!
Awesome.
Look at that big smile. She's been working hard on that, so I'm glad we got to shout that out too.
I am excited.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for coming today and answering these questions. I know we've done a Q&A before, but when I saw some of these, I'm like, I don't think we've talked in depth about each one of those. So I'm glad you guys could all join me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
in the chat. We still have a few people here. Oh, Rebecca. Oh, yes. Check that out. It'll make me feel better too if you go check out Rebecca's synthetic phonics video. Okay, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.